Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Stacy. He is Keith. We are at Fantasy and Frames, and we are here today to give you your sit recommendations for the FFPC Playoff tournaments. We're going to be putting together a lineup to help you so that you can put together your very own lineups and walk away with some cold hard cash. Keith, what's up?
It's snowed in Atlanta, Georgia, so it's a weird day, to say the least. But I'm excited to do this. I'm excited I've never done FFPC. I've got two $35 entries already up and loaded. So I'm excited to do my first FFPC tournament.
Yes. So I'm going to throw it up on the screen right now. We are putting together an FFPC $35 playoff tournament lineup. They have two tournaments that you can participate in. There's a $200 buy-in one that gives you $500 or $500,000 grand prize. This tournament is the $35 buy-in. It gives you $100,000 if you walk away with the winner. Some just real quick and dirty rules. We've got 1 point PPR, 1.5 tight end premium PPR, 12 roster spots, can't use more than one player from one team. This is not a weekly tournament. This is a set it for today, and it goes all the way through the Super Bowl. Can't use more than one player from a team, and we're ready to do it. Let's go. Let's put together a
Yeah,
lineup.
Nico's fired up in case you didn't hear. So
Let's get
let's go.
100K. Let's do it.
I'm ready.
All right.
So the QBs, right? Like 'cause this is
Mhm.
where I started with only one. I just think with the 6 points for rushing touchdowns,
Yep.
if you're not taking Lamar, Allen, or Hurts, I think you're really leaving points on the table.
I completely agree. And honestly, for me, it's really just Lamar and Josh Allen are my two guys because if I'm taking anybody from the Eagles, I'm probably taking Saquon. So how about we go a little Joshua Patrick Allen? What do you
You're
think?
not going to hear me complain about that.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I love that pick. All right, so our QB is done. Let's move on. Let's just go down the row right here and go down to running back.
I'm with you with the Barkley.
Have
He
to.
got the full week of rest. The fact that he didn't play with a legit chance to break the record, to me shows that they're locked and ready. And what I really like about him early in the playoffs is, remember, Hurts is coming off that concussion. Maybe a
Mhm.
little less likely that they do the tush push
Yeah.
because they to me they're one of the two or three best complete teams in the NFL and have a great chance to win the Super Bowl. But they need Hurts to be healthy for that. I think that just means they lean on Barkley more.
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's pick another one. We've got to pick somebody else from this list here. Um, Obviously, Detroit doesn't play this week. How do you feel about taking Jahmyr Gibbs?
I like that move because I think that we should, with the tight end premium, go with Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce as the
Mm,
two tight ends we play. Because again, say Flowers, we know is missing this week. There's a
mhm,
chance he could miss more.
right.
Mark Andrews was on fire to end the season. I believe he caught
Mhm.
touchdowns in his last 7 games. So, I mean, I like the upside of that, and I think they're gonna lean on him a lot more, and I think, again, you gotta differentiate yourself in these big fields.
Yeah,
Everybody's gonna have Derrick Henry, and the fact
right.
that we have Josh Allen, who I think is probably gonna be the most owned quarterback, we're gonna have to pivot, in a few other places, and I think that's a good place to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's definitely something to be said for making your roster unique in these kind of builds, because you are going up against a pretty huge field, a few thousand different lineups. But at the end of the day, you're going to want to take the players that are going to give you the best chance to win.
Yeah, not
And
unique
so
just for unique sake, but
exactly.
you should, just like what I tell people with DFS lineups, you still got to make some moves where you feel confident. And I really do look at it with the situation with Flowers. I think they're going to lean on Andrews, likely, like other options. And
Mhm.
again, Andrews, 7 straight games with a touchdown. I didn't even honestly know that until I was doing my research for the wild card weekend.
Let's go ahead and move down to tight end. Since we already just talked about Andrews, we definitely want him in our lineup. Throw Mark Andrews in there. If I'm looking at the Chiefs, I gotta be straight with you, Keith. Like I honestly only feel good about Travis Kelsey, Patrick Mahomes.
I don't even
Those are
feel
the
good
two
about
that I feel good
Mahomes, to be honest. And I don't mean that like as I
about.
don't feel
Yeah,
good about Mahomes, but I'm saying from
they're
this
better options.
perspective and fantasy scoring, I would rather take Allen, Lamar, or even Hurts. I also just think Kansas City could be the first team to ever three-peat. NFL's been around a long time. It hasn't happened. I think this is finally the year where they're going to get got. And I say this, they'll probably, lifting Lombardi trophy in a few
You
weeks,
just
but,
guaranteed it.
they love the doubters. But I also just think Kelsey is going to explode. We saw this last
Yeah.
year where he had what was quote unquote a down year for Travis Kelsey, and then he went ballistic, in the playoffs.
I mean, this is him and Mahomes, this is their time to shine. So say what
Hmm.
you want about their regular season production. It doesn't matter because when it comes playoff time, these two guys show up and they show out. So if I'm putting together a lineup with with a Chief in it, Kelsey is my number one guy that I want. So we're going to throw him in there with a nice little PPR.
So
Can I?
yeah,
Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I
I
was
was
just gonna
going to
say
say,
the two receivers for me, like that are a lock, and we talked about this a little before we went on the air, is Jefferson Puka. I love the fact that you're playing the two ultimate alpha
Mhm.
receivers, and one of them is automatically going to play 2 games. Like to
I'm
me, you
definitely
can't
into
get a
Puka.
better situation than that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely into Puka. However, can I instead of JJ on this particular lineup, can I interest you in a TJ Hawkinson? Because we got a
No,
Rams defense. Well, hang on, we got a Rams defense that opposing teams' tight ends give up the second most fantasy points to opposing teams' tight ends. Since week 9, he's been targeted at least 5 times in all but 2 games so far of the season. I feel like it's a
they
really good matchup for Hawk.
it is, but it's also the defense that gives up the most points per game and passing yards to outside wide receivers. Justin Jefferson is one of these alpha wide receivers who does
Oh yeah.
not line up in the slot all the time. He actually lines up on the outside a lot. We saw him have a 20-point game versus them earlier this year. And I expect him to feast on this team. The Rams are good versus number two is not great because again they struggle on the
Yeah.
outside. That means Addison's a good play, but I feel really good that Jefferson's going to have a great game no matter the outcome. And I mean, let's be honest, if they keep moving on, they're just going to keep feeding him. I know there's a little
Mhm.
sour taste in your mouth after the performance last week, but they also just missed on like
Right.
2-3 touchdowns.
Oh yeah. So can you talk me into taking a Terry McLaurin as the Commanders representative?
I mean, it's a great first matchup for sure. Tampa Bay
Mhm.
allows the most fantasy points to number one wide receivers of any team in the NFL. There's other guys though that you can talk me into. The guy that is to me a lock out of these is Bucky Irving. Like
Ooh.
I love Bucky. Washington, their big issue is against running backs.
Oh yeah.
They were like basically bottom 7 in rushing yards, yards per attempt, touchdowns. And Bucky has been seeing so much of the volume. 33% of his carries came in his last 4 starts for the season. So his,
Yeah.
usage has just really climbed.
And he completely outtouched Rashad White
Hmm.
21 to nothing, I think, the last game. So we can actually take both Bucky Irving. We could also take a Terry McLaurin as well, because we can take one from each team. So we can throw McLaurin in there. Do you feel good about putting him in your lineup?
Oh yeah, you're not gonna have a hard time convincing me to play Terry McLaurin. If you wanted to get more tight end heavy, I do like Zach Ertz for especially this matchup. But overall, I mean, let's be honest, like it's such a good matchup for McLaurin, and we've seen that he had 13 touchdowns this year. He didn't have that many the last 3 seasons. So you know who I'm
Exactly.
going to sell you for the last flex. Like
Let's go. Who is it?
it's my boy Lad. Uh,
Lad. I am always,
he's
you don't
just
have to sell
his
me on
his
Lad at all.
volume has exploded, and I do think that they end up winning that game, which is obviously
Agreed.
huge. So you're going to get probably 2 games out of them, and then that just comes down to the worst positions to pick. But there's still a strategy to this. I do like taking Boswell as the kicker. I know he was sick, so obviously make
Agreed.
sure he's good. But he kicked 40 field goals. You can't beat that. The defense is where I go back and forth. Denver, like they've been great all year. The problem is they blitz second highest
Yeah.
rate in the NFL. Josh Allen has been unreal against the blitz this year. So that's not a great matchup. That's where I lean like Green Bay, Houston, because I think those are the
Yeah.
two most likely like dog fights.
Well, so fun little fact about Green Bay is that, look, I know it looks like a slam dunk, Philly taking on Green Bay, but, Packers have given quarterbacks a little bit of trouble this year. They allow the fifth fewest yards per game. They're typically holding opponents to an average of 19.9 or regular, real life points, not just
Right.
fantasy.
lot of turnovers too. Like they force turnovers,
Yeah,
which is
they
always
sure
good
do.
when you're looking for points.
Yeah, I
I'm
think they're
good
one
with
of the
that.
highest in leagues for that. Let's go.
I mean, this is a winning lineup. I'm just going to go ahead and say it.
Absolutely.